In this video, I want to show how I've used the web tool Hypothesis to annotate this article called The Third Rail by Alec Macgillis. And what I did was, this article attracted my attention because it's a political issue that interests me, sort of disinvestment in urban communities, and then how that leads to racial and economic inequality. So I want to just walk through how I've used social annotation to mark up this article with memes and GIF files in a way of responding creatively to a text. So just very briefly, I'll start with the tweet. So this is a gentleman I follow on Twitter, Chris Rogers. He tweeted out the article. It drew my attention and I quickly retweeted it and said I was going to mark it up using Hypothesis. Then back over to the article. When I turn on this web tool, this little quotation bubble gets darkened, and I made 15 annotations in the article. So I just want to show those and talk through just sort of trends and patterns. I won't dig into them too deeply, but I will just call out what I did in the first paragraph here. So in the first paragraph of this article, the author talks about how on one day in April last year, the Baltimore police had been monitoring social media, and they were worried about high school students in Baltimore protesting and potentially rioting right after Freddie Gray's funeral service. So just that first paragraph stuck out to me because of the police actions. Number one, that they were monitoring social media, which led me to create this meme. What if I told you the police are monitoring social media? Kind of a straightforward response to that text. And then this meme, just talking about how their decision on that day to go downtown in riot gear and to also shut down public transportation really added to the problem. It created sort of a racial powder keg on that day. So I've created this meme that said, "You dressed in riot gear and stopped public transit to keep the peace. Tell me more about your training." So, those are two things that I composed right away in response to the first paragraph. And I think they show how, how this is really a composition process on my part, a creative process, and also, political speech. So without going into deep detail about all of these 15 annotations, I just want to scroll down through them and just point out what I did here. So in one place where they're talking about urban decay, I used a GIF creator to excerpt about a 5-minute section of a longer YouTube video to capture this rundown residential space in Baltimore. At one point, the author says Baltimore had unraveled. So I used that figurative language. I found a character made of wool. And this GIF file just shows that character unraveling. Kind of highlights the figurative language. Another thing I did was I experimented with pulling text from the article and just overlaying it on pictures. In this case, a map of the metro subway, overlaid with text from the article basically saying that their system only is comprehensible to people who have to use it every day because it's so disconnected and confusing. One place where I responded to some of the systemic challenges that the author was summarizing, just how public transportation causes a problem for the inner city schools. And then it made me think about how, this Black Lives Matter activist, DeRay McKesson, is running for mayor, and so I just put that as a response. I included a GIF about the relationship between income deprivation and life expectancy, where the author had referenced that. When he referenced The Wire, I included a GIF with a popular character from The Wire. And then more of the meme creation in response to some of the parts of the text that just struck me as, just really scary and important about the situation there. I have a GIF of Martin O'Malley where he was referenced, a GIF where they reference the civil unrest in the summer of 2015. More creative composition in response to the way they'd use public money. This GIF is probably noteworthy. I'll zoom in on it. It's about white politicians laughing, and then really it's up to the GIF or the meme creator to put in the punchline. What are they laughing about? So that was an interesting discovery, that I discovered that pattern of memes. Created one with this koala who just kind of has a shocked look on his face. Then my last annotation is responding to how the city of Baltimore loaned Amazon, the company, $100,000. I said, tell me more about your urban renewal plans. So I hope in this video I've just shown how, this was something of a creative process, and it probably, enhanced the reading that anyone might do. It certainly made this text more complex if you understand that there's this creative response in the margins. If anyone was interested in annotating this with me, they just go to this article and turn on hypothesis. You'd see my annotations and you can reply to them.